Should you raise pigs during the winter? Is it worth the extra work? In this video, we are going to go over the challenges and solutions for raising pigs in cold weather. We will look at the labor differences and the key equipment that you need, as well as some pig behaviors for you to keep an eye on in that cold weather. And then we will look at how to restore the land after each move. And by the end of this video, you will know if winter pig farming is right for you. Hi, I'm Christine Hernandez, Livestock Manager at Heifer Ranch. I have been raising pigs on pasture for 9 years. Historically, raising pigs has been a seasonal venture due to the additional costs of feeding and raising those pigs in the cold months. But some producers need to keep their pork in stock throughout the winter, as well as take advantage of the more flexible processing dates. The pigs we will be looking at today are a group of feeder pigs that we have been raising through the winter months. So let's go take a look at the labor and equipment differences for raising pigs in cold weather. There has always been a lot of emphasis on keeping pigs cool during that summer heat, but it's equally important to make sure that the pigs stay warm and dry during these colder months. And to help us do that, we use porta huts. So these are the medium-sized porta huts. They are 6 feet wide by 11 feet long. Depending on the size of the pigs, you can fit anywhere from 12 to 7 pigs in these huts. The pigs we are raising right now in the winter, they are getting ready for processing. They're about 270 to 300 pounds. So comfortably, I see anywhere from 8 to 10 pigs per hut. This batch currently has 33 pigs in it. So I have 5 huts out here just to make sure everyone has enough shelter space. As you can see, we have some sun getting into our huts. So I position our huts facing the south. We are in the northern hemisphere, so we want them placed where they are going to get the most sun exposure during the day. That allows it to dry up in there a little bit in case it gets wet. And then the pigs can go ahead and sunbathe while still hanging out in their shelter. These huts and other types of shelter are great for keeping the pigs dry and protected from the wind during those colder months, but they can't keep the pig warm just by themselves. So we go ahead and we add some bedding. We use bales of mulch hay because that's easier for us to access. Another great bedding option would be straw, because that has a better insulation property to it. We bring the round bales of hay down here, and we want to make sure that we keep a full bale down here at all times. We will pull hay off of the bale and put it into the huts. We want to make sure that we get bedding all the way into the back of that hut, and we want it to be pretty deep bedding. So those pigs are gonna go in there, lay on it, they'll move it around if they want it some other place, but we need to make sure that we have a good layer of that bedding between the ground and where that pig is going to be. In a rain event, it's important to make sure that the inside of the hut stay dry, and so putting more bedding in there is going to be crucial to keep those pigs to stay warm. If the pigs don't want to use the hut during the winter months, they also create a nice layer of hay and bedding outside of their huts. And so we'll see them sunbathing outside here really often during the winter. Without a doubt, the most difficult aspect of raising pigs during the winter is going to be water. It is vitally important to keep fresh, thawed water in front of your pigs all the time. So how do you keep fresh water in front of your pigs during freezing temperatures while still being efficient? In the past, we would fill up a 65-gallon portable water tank, bring that down here and fill up their waterers every day or multiple times a day. That was not efficient for us. This year we tried something different. If we had days or nights where the temperature was going to be below freezing, we would put out an extra water tank or 2 for the pigs. We would ensure that all the water tanks were filled with water, and then we would disconnect our hose and cap off those water tanks so that they held the water. And then we would disconnect our water hose from our frost-free hydrant. We would drain that hose, reel it up, and take it inside so that that hose didn't freeze. That way, in the morning, when we came out here to do our pig checks, we would bring that hose back down with us. We could easily go and break the ice in their water tanks. And since the hose was already thawed, we would just connect that back up to our frost-free hydrant and we'd have fresh water running for the pigs. In the south, our winter is more cold and wet. However, this year we did have a week-long winter snow event where the temperatures during the day were below freezing and we had about 9 inches of snow. So when that happened, our pigs were not drinking enough water to keep our hoses thawed. So we went back to our old way of watering them, which was bringing down that 65-gallon portable water tank and ensuring that the pigs had water and keeping that water ice-free. In preparing for that winter event, we did bring a few extra hay bales down here and we sat them all in front of our porta huts to be a windbreak and to keep snow from getting into those huts. And then we could quickly peel off hay and bed those huts down as the pigs needed to stay warm. In the cold weather, pigs are going to eat to maintain their body heat. As you can see, they don't put on a nice winter coat as some of our other livestock will. They do have some hair. So when it's cold outside, they are going to use their energy and their resources to keep themselves warm and maintain their body condition. So as a result, that's going to increase their feed consumption. A pig can only consume so much feed in one day. So that is going to limit that pig's ability to produce that body heat through their diet and feed intake alone. That is why the shelter and bedding are going to be so important for this cold weather management. If you do decide to raise pigs in the colder months, please know that their growth rate may decrease while their feed consumption increases, but having proper shelter and bedding management is going to help alleviate some of that. In this paddock, you can see that I have the feeders and the shelter with bedding really close to each other, and then their water tanks are just up the fence line. And so I want to keep all of this equipment within close proximity of each other. That is going to help those pigs conserve energy during these colder months when it's very important. If a pig is struggling to stay warm during the cold weather, that pig is going to experience cold stress. That cold stress can then lead to health problems like pneumonia, other illnesses, decreased growth rates, and then just overall poor performance. So to help mitigate that cold stress, it is very important to make sure that your pigs have the shelter, they have dry bedding that's very thick and keeping them off of that cold ground. Observing your pigs is an important skill all year long, and that's still very important in the wintertime during this cold weather. You want to make sure that you're able to pick up on any signs of illness or stressors that those pigs may be going through. To help ensure our pigs are staying off of the wet, muddy ground, we are still moving them to a new, fresh paddock every 5 to 7 days. If we get a large rain event, we may be moving them sooner. When we move the pigs to a new paddock, we also need to make sure that we're moving their shelter with them. And to do so, I just use these 4-inch PVC sticks. They're about 10 feet long. I put them on the front forks of the tractor, and that allows me to pick up the huts fully, lift them up, and move them to that new paddock, and then place them directing the south to get all that sun exposure. Moving the huts is going to add extra time to your paddock moves, but that's just something that's expected in the wintertime. Now that the pigs have been moved to a new paddock, it's time for us to come and manage their most recent paddock. Pigs are often associated with destruction on the landscape when they're raised outdoors, but that comes down to the management and the farmer, not the pigs. Some of the regenerative principles that we follow with our outdoor pig production is least disturbance. So we have a grazing plan for our pigs. We move them on a regular basis before they cause too much destruction. We want to armor the soil. So yes, pigs are going to cause some bare ground, but we come back and we plant cover crops to get that regrowing and cover that soil. The third is increased biodiversity. We also do that by planting cover crops that are season appropriate, and then the pigs help bring up some of the seeds that are in the natural seed bank below the ground. Fourth is animal interaction. So the pigs are out on pasture. They are going to be having impact on the soil as they're moving around, and then they're also leaving their manure and adding nutrients to the soil that way. During the Arkansas winters, we are lucky enough to have weather where our cool season forages are still growing. And so you want to pay attention to your climate and know which forages will still grow and plant cover crops accordingly. Here I tend to plant a lot of ryegrass, hairy vetch, clover, and other legumes. Those cover crops will also benefit the other grazing species that we have here on the ranch. A few different options for planting your cover crops would be just using a 5-gallon bucket and broadcasting that seed by hand, or having a handheld tool that you walk and broadcast. There are also pull behind or push broadcast seeders that you could use. And if you're doing a larger area, you can use a PTO driven broadcast seeder that holds a couple 100 pounds of seed at a time. When I'm just doing a ½ acre or an acre, I prefer to use the 5-gallon bucket and then just broadcast by hand. This allows me to really focus on the heavily impacted areas from the pigs. I'm able to get under these trees better than if I was going to use those other methods of broadcasting those cover crops. When managed right, pigs are a great partner in regenerating the land. If you decide that raising pigs in the winter is right for you, follow these steps and ensure that you have the proper equipment for your region. For example, if you live in the states north of us, you may need an insulated shelter with a face on it to ensure your pigs stay warm. If you have raised pigs in the winter, let me know your experience in the comments. There's always more for me to learn. If you would like to see how we move pigs to a new paddock, check out this video. Or if you'd like to see how we manage our day-to-day operations, check out this video.